Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to show you how to build a Telegram bot that connects to your You Need a Budget or YNAB budget. So I built this using Telegram bot with Claude AI in the background to extract transaction details and shows you a confirmation, then posts it to your YNAB budget. So real quick, I want to show you, before we jump into the tutorial, just a screenshot of what the app or the process would look like. So I have my Telegram YNAB assistant bot. I can take a picture of a receipt and it will read the receipt, enter in the payee amount or the payee, the amount, category, date, which account it wants it posted to, as well as like a brief memo of what it is. And then if you approve it, it puts it in YNAB as an unapproved transaction, and you can approve it there if you want. I will also show you a second screenshot here. You can also just text it, hey, McDonald's, and with $6.63, it will go ahead and log the transaction and put it in the budget for you. So to get started, we do need a few things before we can actually use Claude to build this. So first off, obviously you're going to need a YNAB account. If you don't use YNAB, it's an awesome budgeting app for personal finance. Highly recommend it. It's in no way a sponsor or anything of this video. It's just something I've used personally for many years. You'll need to grab a API token out of YNAB, and this URL will work, app.youneedabudget.com/settings/developer, and it will have a place there where you can create a personal API key. You can create a free Telegram account. That's pretty self-explanatory. You can just go to your App Store on iOS or the Play Store on Android and download Telegram and set up an account. Super simple and free. The Telegram bot token, where you create a API key via the botfather chat, essentially. I created a video separately for that. I'm not going to cover how to do that in this video, but it's very straightforward. I'll link that in the description below. That way, if you need some help creating an API key using botfather, you know how to do that. Also, we'll need an Anthropic API key. You'll make this at the console.anthropic.com website. Here again, I created a separate video for that. If you need help with that, I'll link that below and you can go ahead and view that one. Okay, and also you're going to need Python 3.10 or newer if you're running Windows. So I would go ahead and recommend getting that installed. So let's go ahead and just use winget. So it's going to be winget space install space -e space --id space python.python.3.14. At least at the recording, that's the version I would do. Of course, if this is a long time after April or May 2026, you can just install the latest version at that point. So let's just go ahead and paste that in here, and we'll go ahead and get that installed. And it'll install Python here. It's just best to have this all done prior to starting the workflow in Cowork and Claude. That way, as you go through the workflow, you don't need to worry about exiting Claude and installing these prerequisites ahead, since you already have them done. So give it a little bit more time here and it should finish up. Okay, it has successfully installed now. And if you have not had time to grab your API keys, I would go ahead and pause the video at this point. That way you can go ahead, create those, put those in a text file or some other file. That way you're ready to put them into the .env file in Claude when we're ready for that point. So go ahead and pause. Otherwise, if you've got all your prerequisites, continue. Okay, so with the prerequisites out of the way, the next thing you're going to want to do is download the env.example file, as well as the YNAB bot setup guide and the Python Telegram script. So those will also be in the description. I would recommend downloading them and putting them in a directory on your computer under Documents. So go under Documents, create a folder for the project, name it whatever you wish, and in my case, I just created a folder called telegram_ynab_bots and put these three files in it. So once we go over to Claude, you're just going to open Claude, go to Cowork, create a new task, and I would recommend starting out the command or project with this. So basically saying, hey, where you want to reference the working directory and use these files here as a reference to build my Telegram bot. So we'll just go ahead and hit start, and we'll see here what it does. It will likely ask for approval for that location, and it should do the same thing on yours as well, unless you've already granted access to essentially your whole documents folder. But you're just going to want to hit allow. It might take a little bit of time as it searches through the files and reads them. So we can see it here. It's starting to put the files here on the right-hand side, and you can see this is the working directory. So if you ever want to go here, you can just click the folder as well, and it's going to open up your project. So let's go ahead and close that. Okay, so it says great. I see the full project. There's already a solid bot script, an example file in the directory. The bot already handles, just kind of goes through these different things. Before I start building or modifying, I want to make sure I understand what you're looking for. Do you want me to help you set up and run this existing bot, filling in your env file, or are you looking to build a new and improved version with different features? So set up and run this existing bot is what we want to put in here. Now I should say, depending when you run this and how you query it, when I've ran this different times, it does seem like Claude from time to time will give different questions. And so if your questions differ from mine, it's not a big deal. Just answer them and the best you can. And if you get stuck, just screenshot the question and upload it and have Claude walk you through it. So it says, do you already have a Telegram token from BotFeather? Yes, I have it. Yes, I have it. I have a YNAB personal access token. Yes, I do know my budget ID. Now I need to collect the values, please paste them, and I'll use them to create your .env file. Okay, so this is where I would just caution you, don't put any of your API keys or tokens in the actual chat. So at this point, what I would do is just click here on the folder and go to your working directory and open up the env file. And what you're going to do, you can just open it up with Notepad or whatever other text editor you have, and go ahead and enter in all of your data. So your Telegram bot token, your Anthropic API key, your YNAB API key here. So you're just going to put that information here. Anything after the equal sign gets removed and your API key entered. Same with down here, your Telegram user ID. So 1 second before we get too far down here, the first three are the three that I would recommend filling out. If you don't have your YNAB budget ID, let's wait until you put your API key in, and then you can just chat Claude and just ask it, hey, what is my budget ID, instead of having to run the command. So 1 second here as I enter in this information. Okay, so I entered in all my API information. Of course, I'm not going to show that because that is considered confidential and sensitive information. Once you save your file, one step you don't want to mess up on is just rename this from .example to just strictly .env. So take off the .example file so that Claude can read it properly. And so now what you'll do, I would recommend to say, I made the updates to the env file. Please review and ask questions one time if you see errors or have questions. I'm going to go ahead and send that here. Okay, so it is grumbling. It says that it is a .example file, so I just messed up. So let's go over here. So in File Explorer, just go View, Show, and then Hidden Items. And then, not Hidden Items, File Name Extensions. And then what you'll do here is hit Rename here, and then make sure that is env. There we go, and it should say type is an env file. Now it should be happy. So let's see here. Let's just copy the same command again. Okay, so Claude is gaslighting me now, so I'm just going to tell it it is a .env file. Okay, so now Claude has been able to read it. They knew that they did it wrong before, so thankfully it has corrected it and now read the file. So it says, good news, I can read it now. The core credentials looked filled in, but the YNAB budget ID is still set to the placeholder, your underscore YNAB budget ID. So this was the step where I was just going to say, just ask YNAB to list all your budgets. So if you have more than one budget in, just ask it, list all the budgets, and it'll give you your budget name with the ID associated. So go ahead and chat it at this point to ask you for the list. So give me a list of budgets and budget IDs. And I'm not going to send this in the chat because I already have my budget ID. I don't really want to show my budget IDs here in the chat. So just go ahead and type that in. And then once you have the token, we're going to go ahead back to that .env file and place it in there. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, now that you know your budget ID, you've gone in and edited the .env file and placed in the env file what your budget ID is. Just say, I updated the .env file, YNAB budget ID token. Okay, so it sees all the real budget there, and now it's looking at the category IDs. So one of the things you can do is there's like 10 categories built into the budget. You can go ahead and just chat YNAB and say, replace the categories in the env or the example to be swapped out with actual real accounts. Also, you can tell it to replace the accounts for the credit cards, the checking, the savings, and all that with your actual real accounts, and then the categories to match. So, okay. So after that, it says, do you want me to add any of those to the bot? So you can select. So we're going to say add all accounts. Bot. And basically what this does is it allows the Telegram app. So when you send a receipt through the app, and it's going to say, hey, which account was this charged to? Was it, a credit card? Was it a bank account? Which credit card? And so I would recommend adding all of those to the account. That way Telegram and Claude can see all the different accounts that are registered in YNAB. Okay, and so now it's updating the bot accounts list, now updating the last 4 mapping to reference the new env var names. All non-accounts are clearly in the bot, which is great. Okay, great. So it says that everything is present, all the credentials are there, and now we just need to run the bot. So, and let's open up terminal as an admin. And the directory here is going to be this. So let's copy this. So CDs, there we go. And then let's go ahead and paste anyway. And hit enter. Okay, so you can see here that it is running properly now. So if I was to go to my Telegram bot, I should be able to text it. So let's just say Walmart, I don't know, 1259. You're going to see right there, text received, Walmart 1259. And I'm just going to say groceries looks fine, looks good. And just go ahead and say and marked as approved. So now if I would go into YNAB, I'll see a transaction in there for Walmart 1259 and in the cash account. So one thing that I missed mentioning in the prerequisites is the Telegram bot that you create is technically available for anyone to message unless you lock it down to just your Telegram account ID or the account IDs of those that you want to be able to use the bot. So in Telegram, go to the bot called @userinfo3bot. This bot will give you your Telegram ID. The account looks kind of goofy, but it should say userinfo.getID.idbot.userinfo. And basically, it'll give you a string of numbers, and those string of numbers you're going to want to enter into your env file. That way, it restricts who can use your chat. Basically, if you didn't do this, tens or hundreds of people or thousands, could find your bot, spam your YNAB budget with hundreds or thousands of entries, which would be absolutely frustrating and terrible. So go ahead and find your ID, and I'll show you where to put that in the .env. Toward the end of the API requests, and before you get to your authorized accounts, you're going to see this your Telegram numeric user ID message at userinfo.bot to get it. So this is where you're going to put in the numeric ID for your Telegram account. And like I said, it's very important to do this. Otherwise, your Telegram bot could be used by many other people, and you'll want to restrict it in that way. Okay, so we can confirm that it is working and running. The only other thing you may want to do is set this to run as a Windows service. I have a video on how to turn a Python script into a Windows service. Basically, if the terminal window is not open, running this bot or this Python script, the Telegram chatbot won't work. Also, if the machine would reboot or something like that, of course, the window would get shut down. So I would recommend creating a service that starts automatically after a reboot, and you don't need to keep the terminal window open with the Python script running. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the comment section below. This can be edited to your liking. Obviously, it's stored locally on your machine. I can't see any of your information. Also, the cool thing is if you prefer to behave in a different method where maybe you would split out different categories for receipts instead of just having one category, or possibly even things like photo uploads or something else like that, you can always just chat Cowork in Claude here, and it should be able to update those files to do what you want. Okay, if you have any questions, like I said before, put those in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.